Hey everybody, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today we are printing and painting a Charmander, and this is from the modeler Mar Pros 3D, and here is the final result and the unveiling of this super cute Charmander. He has done all of the models of the starters, the original starters, and they are so much fun, and I'm actually working my way through all of them. And this is the second one, the Charmander. And one thing before we get started, I just wanted to say if you wanted to support the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. And all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, and you can hit the bell for notifications. And we are ready to get started. So this is the Charmander once again, and here is the final product. He is super cute, and I think he turned out great. And we're gonna just go through the entire process of what I did for him and how I got him from that resin print to this guy. So the first thing, as always, I went ahead and primed him in my spray booth, and I'm using Vallejo airbrush primer, and I just can't never say enough good things about this primer. It's just really good, and it goes on so smoothly with no watering down. And that's honestly my favorite thing, that it's just airbrush ready and you just put it in there, and this is the result. So once I got the primer on there, I am ready to get painting. So the first thing I did was I wanted to get my base coat of just orange, and I had a pretty close orange that I liked, and I just went ahead and applied that. I did thin it down. I just use a DIY paint thinner that I put in my airbrush, and if you notice, I'm really just painting the skin. I'm leaving the belly and the tail. I'm not really concerned with overspray because I'm going to be painting all of that later, but I was really concerned with just getting a nice clean coat on him. So once I got him all painted, then I started on the belly, and what I'm doing is I'm just actually masking off his belly, and I'm just using my masking tape and my handy dandy tweezers and X-Acto blade. Those are like my favorite tools when I'm masking, and this tape is like my favorite to mask with because it bends really easy and it adheres to 3D prints just fantastically. So all I did is I get the edging with this, and I cut off little pieces and I put them in the right spots, and then keep cutting and I overlay this. And that is my good tape. So when I'm done, all I do is take my blue painter's tape and wrap around the big areas because I don't want to waste my good masking tape. So here you can see that I'm just starting to go over the belly, and unfortunately my camera angle was not the greatest, but I figured I'd still show it, that I kept covering it up. But I covered it, got his belly with a really good coat, and then went ahead and took it off. And what I did was I actually had a orange that I decided to just kind of give a light overspray on, just to kind of darken a little some of the areas. And this really helped with some of the shadows because I kind of wanted the shadows to continue over the darker orange, and I really just thought, why not? And just so you can see, here is the final result of after I'm done airbrushing him. I was able to get some of those shadows to kind of define his legs a little better and underneath the neck. And one of the fun things that I really liked is I kind of rosied up his cheeks and gave him a little red cheeks on there. I wasn't too concerned with the flaming tail yet. I did kind of paint it a little bit while I had it, but it wasn't my main concern, just to try to get a little bit of a base coat. So once I got it there, I brought it back and I started putting a brush to it. And just doing the roof of the mouth, which is always one of the most challenging parts of any kind of mouth. So I went with the roof first, and then I went with a basic orange and just went over the tail because I wanted to have a really good gradient with the tail, but I wanted it to have an orange base. Then straight after that, I went for the pink tongue, and I just wanted to keep it basic. Since a lighter pigment is always hard to cover up darker pigments below, I had to give it multiple coats on the tongue. So once that was dry, I went ahead and started masking the eyes, and I was just using my tape to mask those eyes with a very sharp X-Acto blade. I always recommend, using a new blade when you're doing a new project, and getting a toothpick to try to define that. And then I'm essentially just creating a big mask with just blue painter's tape. You could use saran wrap, but I figured I had the tape there. And I'm painting his eyes blue because the 3D rendering of the model for Mar Pros had it blue, dark blue with a light gradient, a light blue gradient on the bottom of it. So that's really what I was wanting to accomplish, because I loved his rendering and I just kind of wanted to mimic that. So I basically took a ultramarine blue and then just kept adding white to it to give that gradient. It's very subtle, but I think it worked out really well. And then my favorite part is I always use a black gloss for the pupils and to just make it have a little bit of a shine. And there's just so much detail here, and it took me a little bit of time to just make sure that I got it right. But it's amazing once you get the eyes how much life just comes to him. And then I went to a titanium white that I use for the toes and teeth. It's just a really nice off-white that just always turns out really nice. Then the last part was the tail, and I pretty much masked him all off on the tail and kind of made a little wall for him and added some yellow, and I went underneath from the bottom only and shot it from below. That way it would have a nice gradient on the bottom, and some of those edges and things would have some definition with that darker orange. So then once I carefully took all the masking off, I went back and just did a few more touch-ups, like adding the nose nostrils, and then I wanted the base of it a little bit brighter, so I went in and just hand brushed some of the yellow onto the fire of the tail. And then this is the final result. I think he turned out so good, and I'm so happy with him, and I hope you've really enjoyed this paint, because I know I did. But the next is Squirtle, and I'll be working on him. And like I said earlier, if you liked what you've seen and you want to support the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're wanting to 3D print this and paint it as well, you can actually get this on cults3d.com. I'll go ahead and put a link to the description so you can also support the artist Mar Pros 3D. He's a fantastic guy and very talented, and he has a lot of fun models that I have painted in the past. And I just had to show both of them together because seeing how cute these guys are, I just absolutely love it. But I cannot wait for the next one, which is Squirtle, and he is just as cute as the first two. So thanks a lot for watching, and as always, I just hope you have a great day. Bye.